Dozer and Smigg. Adapting quickly to the unconventional tactics of the United Creels, Captain Gunnbjorn has come to rely heavily on the antics of the duo of dire troll and pig, known affectionately as Dozer and Smigg. Plowing across the battlefield, Dozer generates an avalanche of destruction, while Smigg, precariously clinging to the dire troll's back, unleashes explosive salvos of bombard fire. Each resounding blast of a tremendous cannon elicits the chorus of ecstatic roars from the dire trolls that fight alongside them. Dozer pays them no mind, as the constant fire renders him stone deaf within the first few moments of battle. He relies on the mental direction of Gunnbjorn, or kicks and nudges from Smigg to turn to face the next most pressing foe, eager to see them blasted apart. In the time it takes Smigg to ready the next shot, Dozer will sometimes take the opportunity to charge and tear apart the nearest enemy with his huge claws. The cannons he bears was salvaged in the aftermath of an assault on a Cadoran supply train. After seizing much needed supplies, Gunnbjorn's forces also carted off a massive bombard taken from the wrecked destroyer Warjack. Having witnessed firsthand the power and utility of the Cadoran bombard, the warlock took the opportunity to refit the weapon for the largest dire troll in his retinue. Dozer easily bore the crushing weight of this weapon, its mount and its magazines, but adjusting the noise and concussive forces of the bombard took some time. Early attempts to operate the weapon in the field met with mixed results. At first, each thunderous blast sent Dozer into a dangerous frenzy, swatting at his own back as he plowed headlong into the enemy. Over time, he became more accustomed to the gun's ear-splitting report, but not before he maimed and consumed half a dozen hapless pig gunners. Only the enthusiastic Smigg managed to hold on and keep from being devoured during Dozer's tirades. Since that time, a friendship has grown between them, and Dozer is now quite protective of the pig that joins him in battle. In time, the dire troll even learned to savor the weapon's booming report and the acrid clouds of smoke it spewed forth. Dozer and Smigg have been inseparable ever since. And when you see him, he definitely belongs to Gunnbjorn, because he looks like a utility vehicle, like literally carrying supplies and all sorts of fun stuff on his back as well, making him even more imposing to look at than, well, even a normal dire troll. So the armor and everything like that, he is a sight to behold. And for the enemies of the Trollbloods, you do not want to see him rounding up, because weirdly enough, he is very accurate with that bombard cannon on his back. And if you survive the salvos from that, you have to deal with Dozer when he gets up to you. So yeah, he's very dangerous. But let's check out what he gets from Gunnbjorn and what he is like normal without his warlock, in tow. Let's check out the Mark 3 to Mark 4 changes, shall we? And then of course we will always start with his stat line. He is a speed 5, he is a mat 7, he is a rat 7, which went up from Mark 3 to Mark 4, so he's a little bit more accurate with both melee and ranged attacks. His defense is still a 12, his armor is still a 19, he is a fury 4, threshold 10. So he's a lot harder to get up to the anger than some of the other dire trolls, which I imagine he is very well trained with his Gunnbjorn. He has the ability to trample, slam, and headbutt. He also has the ability to shoot outside of things he's in melee with, which makes sense since Smigg is on his back, probably finding other targets that Dozer is not killing. He does have his dual attack, which makes sense since he does have a gun on his back, literally operated by another entity. Let's go over his abilities real quick. His bond with Gunnbjorn did not change from Mark 3. It says, if Dozer and Smigg begin the game in Gunnbjorn's battle group, they are bonded to him. Dozer and Smigg are not considered to be bonded while under your opponent's control, while Dozer and Smigg are bonded to Gunnbjorn and is in his control range. They gain boosted ranged attack damage rolls, which is pretty staggering because he is shooting an AoE bombard cannon, and getting everything boosted for free is kind of broken for an AoE. But that is terrifying, which would make him a very characterized Jack, or War Beast, sorry. The other move he has is Bulldoze. So when this model is base to base with an enemy model during its normal movement, it can push that model up to 2 inches directly away. A model can be pushed by Bulldoze only once per turn. Bulldoze has no effect when this model makes a trample power attack, which makes sense because you don't want people pushed out of the way when you're trying to run over them. And being able to push people around is always very useful, getting him into even more terrifying positions on the field. So, and he can push through a couple of different people. It doesn't just have to push through one. If you have him just walk through, he can push 2 or 3 models out of the way. So, and then we have regeneration because he is a dire troll. So this model can be forced to remove a D3 damage points once per activation. This model can only use regeneration during an activation. It cannot use this during activation it ran, which makes sense. Then he has snacking, so if he kills something with a melee attack, he can eat those. He can eat it and remove it from play, and he removes a D3 damage point. So not only can he regenerate, he can eat people, which is always very nice. Basically the exact same stats that he had in Mark III to Mark IV, so that is a fantastic. His bombard cannon has changed a little bit. It is still a range 14 because it is bombard cannon. Still a rate of fire 1. Its AoE has been reduced from an AoE of 4 to the AoE 3, which I feel like the AoE 3 stat and Mark IV is a little bit more. You can hit a little bit more models farther away because you hit the 3 closest models within 3 inches. So very dangerous. It's still a POW 14 and 8, so that's great. It still has arcing fire. So when attacking with this model, you can ignore intervening models, which I feel is better than Mark III because then it just ignores intervening models. Except in Mark III, it said ignores intervening models except those within 1 inch. But in Mark IV, it's all intervening models because, well, it doesn't worry about that anymore. One of the things that it did lose was high explosive. So its blast damage is no longer 810. It is an 8, which I feel like is more of a balanced situation because he is pretty. He does a good amount of damage with that cannon. So, and it's already boosted. Why add insult to injury when you're shooting your opponent? His next weapon is claws, which are a MAT 7 range 1 hand weapon, and it is a POW 15, which is still a pretty staggering. And if you have him up with another say dire troll, who gives him, I believe, +2 to his damage rolls, and that's all damage rolls, not just melee damage rolls. So even his gun goes up to a 16 for some reason. Is it supposed to work that way? I don't know. Privateerpress will probably fix that in the future, but right now use it to your liking. But a POW 15 is still pretty staggering if you can get up into melee. You probably won't need them in melee because most things will be destroyed by the time you get up to them with your ranged weapon. His animus is Lucky Shot. It is a cost 1, range 6. Ooh, you can cast it on people. Duration turn, and non-offensive. Lucky Shot. Target friendly faction model can reroll its next missed range attack roll this turn. Each attack can be rerolled only once as the result of Lucky Shot, and then Lucky Shot lasts for 1 round. So, unfortunately, this is a friendly faction model, so it can't be cast on full units, which I feel like with the build with Gunbjorn, having a full unit with Lucky Shot would be, well, probably broken in the long run, especially with spray attacks. But Lucky Shot's still a very useful, especially since Gunbjorn and this guy both like to shoot lots and lots of range attacks into the enemy, all sorts. So, but yes, as far as he goes, the only thing really different on him is the fact that his bombard cannon no longer has high explosive, but that it can ignore intervening models when attacking with this weapon. So, and I feel like that is by far one of my favorite abilities on the arcing fire. That would be my favorite weapon quality, because you don't have to worry about any kind of people blocking your target because you just shoot over them, which makes perfect sense. But